So today is day 12, and today we'll be talking about givers and takers. So in life, I've encountered a lot of people, and um, the people, and I would say I've changed as well. So if you ever read the book called Atlas Shrugged, there are people who are producers and there are people who are takers, and they're not clearly defined like that in the book, but this is kind of like the general classification that I kind of give them. And so what I see in is that there are people who there are I mean it's a gradient. It's not just one, it's not just two types of people, but there are people along this scale of takers and givers, right? So and somewhere in between. So let's talk about the givers first. Givers are generally they're very generous. They give things. As the name implies, they like to help people, and they're always like finding ways to help people out. And if you ever like do little things for them, generally they'll appreciate it, and it just it, you do have to give to a giver. You can't just take from a giver, because eventually they need some stuff, and nobody likes to be taken advantage of. But if you can show to them that you are of some value to them, that you try to give back to them, then they'll give you 10 times as much. So those are givers, right? So a lot of times, probably you probably have friends, if you're a good person. You probably have friends who are like that, who you do little things for them, and then they're like giving you massages. They're always asking you, hey, do you want to go out to this? Do you want to go to that? Like always like thinking of you, even when you're not thinking of them. Those are givers. So on the other end of the spectrum are takers. Now takers, they are what do? They always go into, they kind of feel there's this sense of entitlement. There's a sense of entitlement, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, but their sense of entitlement is one such that they go into any place, any situation, and they think, how can I get the most out of this situation? What can I get for free out of this situation? What can I get away with? Right? Like their whole mindset, their whole attitude toward life is, what can I get away with? What can I do? Like they're quite aware that what they're doing is not right. That it shouldn't they shouldn't be doing what they're doing, which is taking. They shouldn't be taking things. They're quite aware of that. But they do it anyway. And because it doesn't because so far they haven't gotten into enough trouble. So a lot of times they will. A more practical example is, let's say people who go to like a yoga class, for example, like yoga. There's yoga by the people, and lots of other places who give yoga for free, and then they go, and it's not really for free, it's donation based, right? And that's suggested donations. So a lot of times these people, they go to these classes, and then they take up space. They take the instructor's time and attention away from other paying students, and then they just leave. They're like, oh, sweet, that was cool, man, like I got a free yoga class, that's great. And then they look around and they're like, oh, hey, they have yoga mats too. I don't even need to bring a yoga mat. I don't need to buy a yoga mat. Oh, there's a water fountain. I'll just drink the water from there. Oh, they provide towels too. Let me just use one of their towels and just toss it wherever. Who cares? It's like everyone's doing it. They're not gonna catch me. Excuse me. So these are takers, and I know both types well because I have been both types. I've encountered both types. I grew up my parents were very they're very good to me in a sense, in that like they they grew up poor. They didn't want me to be poor, so what they did was they worked hard and provided whatever it is that I wanted. And so I never worked hard when I was growing up. They were just like, just go to school and be good, be study. So so a side effect of that is that then I grew up with a sense of entitlement. I felt like a rich kid, even though, technically probably I wasn't rich, but I grew up with a sense of entitlement of just, I just get stuff, man. Like I used to have this attitude. I used to feel very strongly about the saying, those good things come to those who wait, right? So because I believe in that, because I didn't need to do anything. If I don't get it now, I'll get it later. I don't need to do any work. I don't need to make money to do anything. I mean, especially as a kid, I didn't have to make money. In fact, I was discouraged from making money, because then I would be distracted from school, right? So this had its effects as I grew up, as I went out into the world, and I encountered that, hey, not everyone's going to be providing for me like that. And so it I was lucky in that I think naturally I had a bit of a giver. I would say I'm more of a natural giver than a taker. And so I'm natural taker. I'm a natural giver, but I'm a nurtured taker, So my environment caused me to be a taker. And so because I have a wonderful personality, I do like to give people stuff. So what wound up happening was that I gave away stuff that was not mine to give. Oddly enough, like for example, when I was a kid, my I wanted to give my friends in the neighborhood, my neighborhood friends, all my crayons. So I was outside of my window and I just threw crayons out the window. I wasn't allowed to hang out too much, but I threw crayons out the window at my friends, and they just took my crayons. I thought that was like how I was like, oh, everyone's happy. But those were not mine to give. I mean, they're my crayons, but technically they're my parents. Like my mom and dad, they worked really hard to buy me crayons. So that's kind of like my life in action. Like I make friends because like I like to. I've learned from them, I guess, how to give, like that just give, right? But after a while, I realized that, but I also like to take. In that, there was a time when I realized that I really need to take care of myself, right? Like, not the world is not gonna take care of me. I need to take care of myself. So what I did instead was I wound up becoming an immense taker, right? Like I had a bunch of friends. A lot of people, they cared about me because of my whatever, they just like my personality, whatever. But then I wound up just living. I wound up crashing at people's couches. I ate people's food. I did all these things just because my existing relationships, they let me do it. They tolerated me. They tolerated my bullshit attitude, right? And I thought, oh hey, well, if they're willing to give, that means that I should be taking. Otherwise, I'm disrespecting them, and that's kind of like my attitude at the time. And for a few years, I was basically just taking things and burning bridges because whatever. I was kind of going through this phase, right? And it was a self-development phase, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a time and place for everyone to learn their how they are in the world. So going back, I think this is a video. This is a video where I'm trying to tell anyone who is going along my path, my old path, where have an awareness of whether you're giving or taking. I'm not saying you should definitely be giving all the time, and I'm not saying that taking is bad and taking is good or whatever. I think everyone needs to take care of their own needs. Be selfish. I do believe in being selfish, taking, because if you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. But at the same time, realize that some of the actions that you do when you take, things for granted, when you borrow people's stuff and you don't give it back in a better condition, or you don't whatever, you're burning bridges, and then burning those bridges, they never happen again. So in the end, actually that causes harm to you, right? So becoming the person, I think I'm starting to go on a ramble here, but I think the key point is that here's the key point. Okay, so when I was in taker mode, I felt that's all I could do. I felt like the world could give me stuff and all I could do was take. Now, I still take a lot, but I still work on giving. And the reason why I work on giving is because I want to be self-reliant. I want to know that I don't have to rely on people. It really sucks, actually, sometimes when I'm just like asking people for money, asking people for food, asking people for a place to live, whatever, right? It really sucks to do all that stuff because I'm at the whim and mercy of other people. I know I'll survive somehow, but it's a luck of the draw, and it's not something that I really like to do long term. On the other hand, when I'm as a giver, right now I'm working on that, or I'm more working on being a provider, I would say. Provider in that, like, I don't necessarily want to be like some girl's sugar daddy or whatever, but what I want to do really is to be able to support myself. I want to be able to have the resources, the skills, the money, the assets, so that I can take care of myself and then some. Right? I can choose. I have a choice. I can give to others, or I could not give, or I could mooch off people as well. Like, I have money, but I still choose to like just crash on people's couches, whatever. That's a choice that I have at that point, right? So I would say that that's my transfer information, like from being a child. I mean, in a very neutral sense, nothing derogatory, but nothing wrong with being a child. Everyone has been a child. From being a child where I was taken care of to, and just like I just gave shit away that wasn't even mine to give. Going through and then realizing, hey, I need to take care of myself too, and I started taking things from others, and now I realize I don't want to just take things from people all the time. I want to actually give. I want to give first to myself. I want to give myself a good lifestyle, and then afterwards, I want to have the ability to give other people stuff as well, if I can, if I want to. You know, I mean, I'm kind of naturally like a giver, like in that way. So this video has gotten pretty long. It's almost 15 minutes at this point. So so if you have any questions or any comments, discussions, let me know, and I'll see you tomorrow.